In a world where reality often surpasses fiction, video games have provided us with an escape, a chance to become heroes, villains, adventurers, and explorers. In the year 2021, we were introduced to a plethora of games that pushed the boundaries of storytelling, graphics, gameplay mechanics, and immersive experiences. Today we're going to take a journey back and count down the top 25 best games that graced our screens in 2021. So let's get started. Alan Wake Remastered, developed by Remedy, is a survival horror shooter game. The game presents a psychological thriller in its most radiant form. It's set in a quiet mountain village, where the protagonist Alan Wake, a crime fiction author, experiences supernatural events. The game's story is gripping and surreal, with a Stephen King-style thriller viewed through the dreamlike lens of David Lynch. The narrative unfolds through manuscript pages that the player finds, which describe events that manifest themselves into subsequent events. The game's atmosphere is one of fear and tension, making it a place where it's perfectly acceptable to be afraid of the dark. The combat is fantastic, and the creepy atmosphere makes Alan Wake's quest thrilling from beginning to end. The remastered version presents the 11-year-old game in its most radiant form. While the details in its moody environments are now far easier to make out, its gameplay shortcomings are presented in equally stark relief. However, it's still a ripping yarn filled with creepy moments. Back 4 Blood is a co-op first-person shooter developed by Turtle Rock Studios. Set in a post-apocalyptic world, you play as one of the 8 cleaners, zombie-killing mercenaries. The game is a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead series. It offers a thrilling campaign mode where you and your team fight off hordes of zombies, known as the Ridden. The gameplay is intense and satisfying, with a variety of weapons to choose from. Each cleaner has unique stat bonuses, inviting slightly different playstyles. One of the game's unique features is its card-based progression system. Before each mission, players can build a deck of cards that provide various in-game advantages. Despite its intense action, the game maintains a lighthearted tone, with characters often cracking jokes amid the chaos. The game also includes a versus mode, though some players find it less engaging. Battlefield 2042 is a first-person shooter that takes you into a near-future setting full of high-tech gadgets. It's known for its large-scale multiplayer war shooters and sets a new standard for built-in custom mode support. The game features 128 players simultaneously running into crowded war zones. One of the highlights of Battlefield 2042 is its Hazard Zone mode, which provides an interesting strategic alternative. It also introduces portal tools, allowing for crazy customizations. The game does away with single-player options, focusing on infantry and vehicle-based shootouts across huge, beautiful maps. It also introduces a roster of 10 playable specialists based off of the original 4 Battlefield classes: Assault, Support, Recon, and Engineer. Biomutant is an imaginative, single-player action RPG set in a post-apocalyptic world where tiny mammals have become martial arts masters. The game features fantastic enemy creature designs and a deep well of combat options, along with customizable weapons. However, it has been criticized for its basic and repetitive objectives, quests, and puzzles. The story seems to regularly overstate its own substance. Drawing inspiration from various sources, including The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild and Borderlands, Biomutant has a unique component, but its structure is anything but unique. The open-world aspect of Biomutant did more harm than good, with layers of great ideas drawn on an imperfect mind map. Bright Memory Infinite is a first-person shooter game that offers a thrilling gameplay loop. Developed by Zhong Xianqing, it's a reimagining of the original Bright Memory game. The game is visually impressive and provides fast-paced campaign action. The protagonist is Shalia, an agent for the Supernatural Science Research Organization. She's tasked with stopping a sudden anomaly that could blend together different universes. However, the narrative is often described as incoherent and unfinished. The game is known for its exciting action sequences. It combines sword and gunplay in a fast-paced, smooth manner. Despite its short length, around 2 hours, it packs a surprising amount of creativity and fun. Deathloop is a first-person shooter immersive sim video game developed by Arcane Lion and published by Bethesda Softworks. In Deathloop, the player takes on the role of Colt, an assassin stuck in a time loop. Colt has been tasked to take out 8 targets called Visionaries across the island of Black Reef before midnight. If even one target survives, the time loop resets and Colt's work is undone. The player uses a combination of stealth, parkour, attack skills, guns, gadgets, and powers to move about the game world. They must avoid or take out guards, learn the patterns of Colt's targets, and figure out the right order to eliminate said targets. The game features a multiplayer aspect in which the player can alternatively take the role of Juliana, an agent tasked to protect the time loop and take out Colt. When the player takes this role, they will enter a random player's game and may interfere with their play. Far Cry 6 is an open-world action game that immerses players in a richly detailed world with a compelling narrative and engaging gameplay mechanics. The game is set on the fictional island nation of Yara, primarily modeled after Cuba. The island is controlled by a charismatic madman, Anton Castillo, portrayed by Giancarlo Esposito. The game's strengths lie in its captivating setting, well-acted characters, and diverse gameplay options. It offers a mix of survival and physics playground elements, with features like pet bears and flamethrowers. The game provides a good time whether you choose to silently eliminate enemy guards or go the less subtle route of throwing bullets and molotovs. The game is a quintessential Far Cry experience, where you begin as an underdog and end up as a hero. Forza Horizon 5, developed by Playground Games, is a remarkable entry in the racing game series. The game is set in a stunningly diverse map of Mexico, offering a more varied and extensive environment than any previous Horizon game. The game features an enormous visual upgrade, especially to lighting, tire smoke, and dust effects. The game offers hundreds of new custom parts, rims, and performance mods, and cars with more character than ever. It also boasts drastic sound improvements and better handling. The Horizon Festival, the central event of the game, is gradually constructed, resulting in more one-off events. Forza Horizon 5 also provides improved tools that allow players to build completely custom events. These events can be more or less indistinguishable from those crafted by the developers themselves. The game is not just a rehash of its predecessors, but brings a remarkable amount of new content. Halo Infinite is a first-person shooter game developed by 343 Industries, Certain Affinity, and Skybox Labs, and published by Microsoft Studios. Set 1 year after the events of Halo 5, Halo Infinite follows the Master Chief who battles the Banished on Zeta Halo. The Banished are a rogue faction separate from the Covenant that have taken control over a Halo installation. The player assumes the role of Master Chief, traversing the open world of Zeta Halo, fighting the Banished with a mixture of vehicles and weapons. The game features a narrative arc that serves as a jumping-on point for new players and provides a resolution to a story that's been building for 20 years. The game story mode underscores 343's decision to create as close to a blank slate as possible. The war against the Banished has already been waged and lost, with humanity now facing extinction. Hell Let Loose is a hardcore World War II simulator that offers a realistic and immersive shooting experience. It requires constant communication, strategy, and teamwork to win. The game is known for its realistic combat, sound, graphics, and RTS mechanics. The game throws you into 50 versus 50 warfare where teamwork is essential and death comes quickly in huge maps. It's the sort of game that convinces many that we're in the golden age of the multiplayer FPS. Despite a challenging start, Hell Let Loose delivers a near-unparalleled experience as a gritty, hardcore WW2 shooter. It has a deep layer of big-picture strategy and maps that perfectly capture the devastation of war. Hitman 3, the final chapter of IO's World of Assassination trilogy, is a stealth game that features Agent 47's unique brand of slow-paced stealth. The game is known for its dense, deadly, and deeply varied murder playgrounds. It offers 6 outstanding new maps, each providing hours of chaos, carnage, and cruel comedy. The game doesn't stray from the killer chord combination developer IO Interactive, crafted for 2016's Hitman. The most notable new toy in Hitman 3 is a camera, which can be used to hack or examine switches and items. All 6 of Hitman 3's beautiful and strikingly well-lit levels are amongst the strongest of the series. The game starts with 47 parachuting onto the world's tallest building in Dubai, followed by a mission in a massive UK country manor. Then it's off to a massive German rave for a mission that oozes atmosphere. The next stop is Chongqing, China, where the glow of neon lights and the trickle of rain down 47's jacket combine for a visually impressive mission. The game then takes you to an Argentinian vineyard, and the finale is a fabulous surprise unlike any Hitman mission to date. The game is rich, rewarding, and highly replayable. It Takes Two is a co-op adventure game developed by Hazelight Studios. The game revolves around a squabbling couple, Cody and May, who have been magically transformed into dolls by the eccentric Dr. Hakim. The game's world is filled with magical realist twists, taking players on a wild journey. The gameplay is filled with variety, from steering a giant pencil to casting spells in a dungeon crawl. The game constantly introduces new mechanics, keeping the gameplay fresh and exciting. The platforming essentials are responsive, allowing for effortless levels of platforming precision. The character-specific abilities compel players to work as a team. The game is praised for its creativity, playfulness, and rewarding experimentation. It also offers a compelling mystery that hooks players throughout the playthrough. Despite its intense and brutal tone, the game is also known for its grimly beautiful set pieces. The game is played from a first-person perspective, enhancing the intensity and immersion. Kina, Bridge of Spirits is a visually stunning action-adventure game developed by Ember Lab. The game's protagonist, Kina, is a spirit guide who aids spirits unable to transition to the next life. The gameplay involves a blend of action, puzzle solving, and platforming. The game's world is beautifully crafted, with Pixar-esque character designs and animations. The story unfolds in a dying land, where Kina guides troubled spirits and seeks the sacred mountain shrine. The character designs and animations are commendable, making every character, especially Kina, instantly endearing. However, the game's storytelling and progression have been criticized as somewhat bland. Despite this, the combat system is exciting, simple, and surprisingly challenging. The game follows a linear progression, guiding players through major zones, each requiring the collection of specific items, boss fights, and upgrades. Life is Strange. True Colors is an adventure game developed by Deck 9 and published by Square Enix. The game's protagonist is Alex Chen, a young woman who can experience the emotions of others. Alex has psychic empathy powers that allow her to read and manipulate emotions, which she perceives as colorful auras. This unique ability adds fascinating gameplay opportunities. The plot focuses on Alex as she tries to solve the mystery behind a tragedy in her life. After her brother dies under mysterious circumstances, Alex uncovers the secrets of the fictional mining town of Haven Springs. Little Nightmares 2 is a captivating sequel to the original game, developed by Tarsier Studios. This horror-adventure game introduces a new protagonist, Mono, who dons a paper bag mask. Mono is accompanied by Six, the protagonist from the original game. The game is set in the Pale City, a seemingly abandoned metropolis filled with oversized horrors. The city is not as deserted as it first appears, with childhood horrors such as creepy mannequins, a monstrous schoolteacher, and a sadistic doctor lurking around every corner. The gameplay involves puzzle solving and stealth mechanics. Mono has the ability to pick up and wield different weapons, which adds a new dimension to the gameplay. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is an action-adventure game developed by Eidos Montreal and published by Square Enix. The game is set in an original universe based on the Marvel Comics superhero team. The plot follows the Guardians who, while attempting to capture a beast for a wealthy collector, inadvertently trigger a catastrophe which threatens the peace of the galaxy. The player controls Star-Lord, the team's self-proclaimed leader, and issues commands to other Guardians including Drax the Destroyer, Gamora, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot. The game features dialogue trees that affect the relationships between Guardians and change the outcome of missions. Despite its lighthearted tone, themes of trauma and grief are central to the story. NieR Replicant version 1.22, often referred to as the NieR Replicant Remaster, is a reimagining of the 2010 action RPG, NieR. This remastered version enhances the original game without losing its unique charm. The game is set in a post-apocalyptic world that has returned to pastoral fantasy. It follows a boy on a quest to cure his sister of a terrible disease. The game's world is brought to life with voice acting for every character, a significant improvement over the original. The remaster features improved character models, satisfying hack-and-slash mechanics, and a haunting soundtrack. The combat system has been revamped, making it feel extremely comparable to NieR Automatas. The integration of weapon combat with skills has been smoothed out, improving the overall feel of NieR's combat. Orcs Must Die 3 is a tower defense game developed by Robot Entertainment. The game is a successor to the award-winning Orcs Must Die series. The player takes the role of one of two apprentice war mages and is tasked to defend rifts from an onslaught of orc armies. The game introduces war scenarios, which pit players against the largest orc armies ever assembled. The game features a massive arsenal of traps and weapons that players can use to slice, burn, toss, and zap hordes of repugnant orcs. It also introduces mountable war machines, which give players the essential firepower to heave, stab, carbonize, and disarticulate the abominable intruders. The game has a new story set more than 20 years after Orcs Must Die 2. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a third-person shooter platform game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is the 16th installment in the Ratchet & Clank series. The game follows Ratchet, a furry alien space hero, and his robot sidekick Clank, as they attempt to solve an interdimensional crisis set off by one of their old foes. The gameplay allows the player to play both as Ratchet and Rivet, although they both play identically, sharing weapons and gadgets. The game introduces the concept of real-time near instantaneous travel between different areas, planets, and other worlds within gameplay scenes via a system of interdimensional portals. A new mechanic dubbed the Rift Tether is introduced in Ratchet and Rivet's arsenal that pulls them from one side of a portal to another, allowing them to move quickly between points. The game features both entirely new planets, as well as alternate dimensions of planets from previous games. Between planets, there are seamless transitions, with no load screens. The game's arsenal features a mix of brand new weapons and returning classics from prior installments. Ready or Not is a realistic and tactical first-person shooter that challenges players to face dangerous situations as a SWAT team. It's a successor to the SWAT games and offers a strategic itch that Rainbow Six hasn't scratched in years. The game forces you to use all 5 senses, teaching you that pulling the trigger is a last resort. It can get a little repetitive, but its foundations give you very memorable moments. The game tries at all times to make you feel that you are in a real-life scenario. Its level of graphics is not cutting edge, but that does not mean that it feels very realistic. The ambient sound is excellent and helps a lot in the development of the different missions, constantly creating tension. Resident Evil Village is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom. It is the sequel to Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, and continues the story of the protagonist, Ethan Winters. The game is set in a sinister rural village, reminiscent of Resident Evil 4. The story revolves around Ethan's quest to save his infant daughter, who has been kidnapped by a wicked cabal of monster maniacs. These antagonists include Lady Dimitrescu, a towering vampire, and other grotesque creatures. Each villain presides over their own visually distinctive domain, from opulent castles to grungy mechanical facilities. The game offers a variety of horror experiences, with some areas requiring stealth and others focusing on combat. The village itself is a scrappy, ramshackle scattering of wood and brick houses, farmers' fields, and the occasional church. Over it looms a Gothic castle with immense spires stretching into the mist. The game features a variety of enemy types, including zombie ghouls, flying gargoyles, and full-on werewolves. Returnal is a fast-paced, third-person shooter game developed by Housemarque and exclusive to the PlayStation 5. The game tells the story of Céline Vassos, who crash lands on an alien planet called Atropos. As she tries to locate the origin of a mysterious signal, things start to get very weird and time-loopy. The game is a roguelike, built on the idea of repeated runs through the same environments. Céline finds logs left by her former selves, which slowly reveal the layers of Returnal's central questions. The game incorporates surreal and chilling first-person segments where Céline explores her memories and nightmares. The tight and responsive gunplay is a hallmark of Housemarque's games. Returnal takes the bullet hell stylings of games like Resogun and Nex Machina and transplants them into a third-person shooter. The Dark Pictures, House of Ashes, developed by Supermassive Games, is a horror-adventure game. The game is set in an ancient Sumerian temple, where Marines and CIA agents find themselves exploring. The game's setup, with each entry spinning a new yarn, has allowed Supermassive to cast a wide net. The game's gruesome bat-like antagonists don't give a care about bullets. Despite the soldiers being heavily armed, they find themselves expending a lot of ammo and explosives. The game features long, flashy QTEs, ranking as some of Supermassive's most entertaining and elaborate. The game's story is fast-paced and fun. It has its issues, both technically and with not really having anything interesting to build into its Iraq war setting. However, it's still a hoot to play. The Dark Pictures Anthology's yearly offerings of horror-adventure games have been middling at best, and House of Ashes, the third entry in the series, retains the status quo. The Gunk is an action-adventure game developed by Image and Form Games, known for their excellent SteamWorld series. The game is set on a muck-covered alien planet that you, as the player, transform back into a pristine and beautiful landscape. You play as Ronnie, a bold and optimistic space explorer, accompanied by her cautious partner Bex. They land on an unknown alien world in search of resources to scavenge, but find a planet where life is being stifled by blobs of malicious black ooze. Armed with a robotic vacuum hand, you explore the planet, sucking up the gunk and uncovering a grounded sci-fi story. The game's campaign is roughly 4 hours long and tells a straightforward tale with poignant messages about the state of our own planet. The gameplay involves progressing down linear paths or hopping around small puzzle areas, usually getting rid of all the gunk you see or trying to reach a switch to open up the next route. Cleaning an area entirely causes it to spring back to life, which is always satisfying. Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, a Wonderlands one-shot adventure, is a standalone re-release of the downloadable content pack originally developed for Borderlands 2. The game is set in an enchanted land where the queen has been captured and her kingdom is in peril. You and your friends are the only hope of restoring peace. The game is filled with treacherous forests, spooky crypts, and fearsome fortresses. The game features 6 unique vault hunters, each with their own signature abilities and powerful builds. The gameplay is a mix of shooting and looting, with spellcast-style grenade mods that allow you to cast lightning bolts and fireballs from your fingertips. The game's story and gameplay are identical to its original release, but there are some notable key differences. For instance, there's a new easy mode setting that decreases the amount of damage done to the player's character.